I really connected with like amazing singers was when I was probably like 5 or 6. I was listening to, you know, my dad would show me people like Cat Stevens and you know, bands like AC/DC, you know, like, yeah. And then I got really caught up with, you know, this whole sort of R&B movement that was going through America. It was kind of 90s cheesy R&B, but there were some amazing singers in that period. Like Lauryn Hill was incredible, and I was a big fan of her when I was young. It's like, to me, she was like the best singer I'd ever heard. And I guess as a songwriter, I think it wasn't until I was about 14 when I started listening to people like Sufjan Stevens and Nick Drake and started to figure out what songwriting really was and what it took to create something original and beautiful. So yeah, I guess when I was a kid, all I wanted to do was just be a great singer, you know, because that was the only thing I really had as a musical entity then. I could always sing when I was a kid, and I wanted to sing for people, I think. And then I started learning guitar and a few other instruments, and yeah, it was sort of when I turned about 14, 15, I was like, maybe I should like play and sing and write my own music and see if people like it. And, yeah. I went to London because I wanted to play music for people that could listen to it more subjectively than Australians, I guess, because I'd gone through this crazy thing in Australia, and I just wanted to, you know, be on my own and see if people really liked it for what it was, you know, and had no preconceived ideas about who I was as an artist. And it was a hard couple of years when I was living in London, and it's, you know, you have amazing highs and like crazy lows when you're there. And, yeah, I think I learned a lot in that period. Probably most songwriters have. Like, I think you bang your head against the wall for so long that either you get to a point like you know, where you go, well, maybe this isn't for me. And I've had a few of those moments, you know, in the last couple of years especially, where I've just gone, oh, I just don't think this is going to work, and no one's really responding to anything that I'm doing or creating or playing. And, you know, it's hard for your self-confidence, and it's hard, you know, to sort of push through that, because, you know, it's not like you can just work really hard and then it'll pay off. Music's not really like that. It's you can work hard for 20 years and still be playing in front of 10 people who aren't really there to see you, you're just there to have dinner. You know, it's kind of crazy. I don't know. I guess music was the only thing I've ever been really good at. You know, or you know, kind of good at. It's just like it's the only skill that I had. You know, I'm not incredibly intelligent. I'm not an academic, or I didn't even finish school. You know, and I've had an array of customer service jobs and things like that, and you know, I actually really enjoy that kind of work because it's good, honest work. But at the same time, I just, you know, I've always wanted to be a musician, and I guess that kind of passion ever since I was young has always stayed. The communion thing was kind of the first breakthrough I ever had as a musician, as a songwriter, and I guess I met those guys, and they sort of taught me that just being a flashy musician is never going to be enough, you know. And I really started to craft my songs from that point on, and hanging out with all those guys that are involved in that sort of group. I learned so much about creating something that is unique and that is you, and, you know, not dictated by whatever else is going on in the world, but just by your own emotions and your own sort of moral stance. And yeah. Come on in. Hold on to that firm belief that your soul is a fire. I've never really been ready to make, you know, that crazy definitive statement as an artist. Like, it's kind of, to me, I'm really nervous about it, and I'm making an album at the moment, so it's a pretty intense experience, because, and also because I'm very, very hard on myself, especially in the studio, and if something's not 100% the way I like it. It's just like I get really down on myself and I just scrap it. And yeah, it's been 4 years in the making essentially, and I've always made small bodies of work and just sort of songs here and there. And I guess it was always kind of just testing the waters, you know. I'm like, I wonder if people will respond to this kind of thing because this is what I'm feeling at the moment. And you know, they don't, and I evolve and move on, and I'm like, now I'm really into this, and I'm gonna write music like this. And, you know, I really feel like writing something bluesy, so I'll write something bluesy. And I guess, you know, now I think I feel more comfortable in my own skin. I feel more confident to do something that I want to do, you know, and to be able to actually convey that to people, you know. So, yeah, I have been. It's been a long time, sort of coming, but I'm glad that it's close to being made, you know. Well, yeah. Well, we're recording. Like I'm recording from the end of January till the start of March, I think. I don't think we'll need that much time, but. And the guy I'm making it with is a guy called Mocky, who is an incredible guy and an incredible producer and a crazy genius. And we met a few months ago, and I sort of told him my story and showed him a bunch of my songs. And yeah, and I guess I can't really say anything else about it because it's all kind of up in the air, but music is something that brings people out of mediocrity, you know. It's like most art. Like it's something that can lift someone up above a situation or give them perspective. Or, yeah, so it's really exciting that people respond to it like that, and I'm really humbled when I hear things like that. It feels like I'm doing the right thing. So. A lot of it is personal experience, and it's not really much else than that. Sometimes it's little stories that I conjure up in my imagination, and a lot of the time, the way I write music is I will feel like I need to, and I'll sort of sit with my guitar and I'll be quiet for as long as I need to be until I can hear something in my head, and then I'll just kind of press record, and then whatever comes out of me comes out. And a lot of it's subconscious. A lot of it's just like I'm saying things that I wasn't really aware that I was feeling. And then I'll listen to it back and I'm like, wow, that's kind of everything I've been going through at the moment. And that's really weird because I was totally unaware that I was saying that. And it's kind of a beautiful thing because I guess it means I'm quite connected to you know, what's going on. I think everyone is subconsciously, and a lot of people don't realize it, and a lot of people aren't completely in tune with what's going on in their life emotionally or socially or morally or anything like that. So it's really nice that that's the way I express, you know, myself, or the way that I am, or the way that I'm being, or the way that I'm living in the world. And so yeah. You know what? I don't know. I don't really remember. That's the kind of the honest truth. I guess I'm very fixated on what I'm doing, and I'm not really thinking about anything at all. Sometimes I get nervous, and sometimes I'm thinking about technically what I'm doing, what I'm playing, and what I'm singing, the notes that I'm picking. But I think me and the band, especially, like the guys that I play with, they're really amazing. And I think if we're caught in a moment, and if we're involved and immersed in the music emotionally, that translates most of the time to people. Sometimes people are shut off and they don't want to accept it, and that's fine. But I don't really feel much. Sometimes I get really emotional. Like there's a couple of new songs that are very heavy and are about things that have happened to me in the last year that really shook me and that knocked me down a couple of pegs. And sometimes when I'm singing that, and if the band's sort of all working together emotionally, I'll get really emotional, and I'll just start to well up, and that sounds really pussy, but I don't really care. It's like, it's what music does to me, so it's cool. But yeah, it's kind of this weird blur. I think, and it sounds cheesy, but I think it's just like that, to be free is something that I would really love, you know. And I don't know what that means, but I think a lot of people are in search of it, you know, in some capacity. And it doesn't mean being free and living in the wilderness. It just means, like, you know, introspectively and what you sort of exude, you know what I mean? It's, you know, it's a kind of amazing thing. And I've met people that I feel like they're free, you know what I mean? And they, I guess they present themselves that way, and it's really special, and it affects so many people around them. And, you know, I would love to get to that point one day where, you know, I'm totally in control of who I am as a person, and in that way I can help others. And not in like a philanthropical way or anything like that, which that would be amazing, but I don't know if I have the capacity to do that yet. But, you know, I think it's a kind of a crazy, emotional, weird journey that everyone has to go on. I guess music is my avenue to discovering that.
From there on you might just go.